FTX, the star of crypto, has quickly gone from naming stadiums, sponsoring the World Series, and Larry David to a total collapse. So what happened? What are my thoughts having been sponsored by FTX? And more importantly, how does this impact your wallet? Over the last 2 years, FTX has become what seemed to be the squeaky clean name brand in crypto. It was kind of like they had the Midas touch. Everything they touched just literally turned into gold. Their exchange was getting more and more popular. They had the FTT token that was doing extremely well. They had close ties with Solana, another crypto that did even better than FTT. $10,000 invested in Solana in 2020 would have been worth over $500,000 just a year later. All this momentum helped make the FTX founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, one of the richest people in the world. At 29 years old, he was worth $22 billion. That, of course, didn't last. I'll reveal his current net worth in a little bit. It's shocking. But for the time being, Sam was absolutely the golden child of crypto and kind of the world of finance. Not only was he one of the richest 20-year-olds of all time, but he also got famous for his personal philosophy of effective altruism, which is just like a fancy way of saying, I'm going to give all my money away. Spoiler alert, the market gave it all away for him, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here because things were really great for Sam for a long time. Even when crypto crashed after the whole Luna Celsius $60 billion meltdown, he was one of the lucky few who came out of the ordeal a total hero. That's because Sam and FTX, they saw this as an opportunity. They said, hey, we're pretty strong right now. We have tons of cash. Let's bail out the crypto industry. It'll make us heroes and we'll probably make even more money at the same time. This is a classic playbook move. JP Morgan did it way back in 1907. There was this company called United Copper that went bankrupt. This caused a series of events which led to people rushing to banks to withdraw their money from anything associated with this bankrupt copper company. Then in the same weekend, 2 brokerages and a bank just imploded. And this was extremely bad back then because there was no bank account FDIC insurance like we have now. So as you can see, banking in 1907 was an awful lot like crypto today. JP Morgan's solution back then was to just go ahead and consolidate the market. The plan was to save the day and, make a fortune by purchasing these bank competitors at steep discounts. And it totally worked. JP Morgan expanded and expanded this little banking concern, which is still around today under the name Chase Bank. So you can bet that Sam Bankman was looking back into history and hoping that it would repeat itself. It didn't. He bailed out the crypto platforms BlockFi and Voyager Digital to the tune of $750 million. Shortly after Sam made a statement about these bailouts saying, quote, the deals don't necessarily look so great. And he's trying to limit, quote, throwing good money after bad. Will that seem like the end of his troubles? Little did we know that was only the beginning. FTX was in great standing, and Sam's personal net worth was still over $15 billion. First came what I'm calling the great fee reduction. I really believe that this was the straw that broke the camel's back for FTX. In July, the Binance crypto exchange cut trading fees on Bitcoin to 0, literally nothing. This, of course, means their trading volume goes through the roof at Binance. They begin to take customers and precious liquidity from other exchanges, like FTX. Not good. Then SBF gets political. Sam makes a $50 million political donation, and he says he could donate up to $1 billion in the 2024 elections, making one of the largest political donations of all time. He later backtracks on that billion-dollar figure, though, calling it a dumb quote. But the damage was already done. The public was rightfully curious what kind of initiatives he would possibly want passed into law needing that kind of cash. The obvious answer here would be to ensure crypto laws are open and free, helping his business and the assets that made him a multi-billionaire thrive in the long term. But the opposite seemed to be true. Sam posted a proposal titled Possible Digital Asset Industry Standards. Here he outlines his ideas on how crypto could be regulated. The crypto community did not take this well. His ideas would limit the open, decentralized nature of DeFi by adding in features like address blacklists and the potential to limit who can invest in various crypto products. Of course, the world of crypto, because of this, went into a little bit of an uproar against Sam and FTX. And this is when I took personal action on the matter. I've worked with FTX for the majority of 2022. And just so you have some insight on how this works typically, Usually a brand will reach out to sponsor content. We then do research to make sure that there's no issues that we need to worry about from a brand perspective, and that they actually offer a service that I personally believe has real value. I don't know, for every 50 sponsor requests we get, we might do one. When it came to FTX, it was actually really refreshing to see an exchange that had a focus on legal compliance, customer protections, and they were totally open to sponsoring any content that I wanted to make, which is actually really rare. My videos are expensive to make, and YouTube ads don't even come close to covering the cost of production. So in this case, it was a no-brainer to work with FTX. I mean, they sponsor the world's biggest events and people. It made it past all of their filters as well. That being said, when all this came out about Sam Bankman's stance on DeFi regulation and his influence in politics, I personally felt a bit uneasy about it. However, there wasn't really proof explicitly that he was doing something wrong. So I wanted to just step back for a second, keep researching this, as well as some other rumors that were circulating. Now, Sam's article on DeFi regulation came out on October 19th. By the 24th, just 5 days later, I had terminated my contract early with FTX, discontinuing ads immediately and making this public post outlining the decision and why I made it. Now, I have to say that this was one of the harder business decisions I've ever had to make, because this not only meant the funding that goes towards paying my team is gone, but I also have to remake anything that was prepared for future videos. I was super stressed about this, but afterwards, after the post was made, I felt good about the decision. Now, here's the interesting part. Yes, I made that decision when there was drama about FTX, but I would have been willing to bet money that that would have just totally blown over and been forgotten 2 weeks later. The drama, from what I could tell, was really only being circulated by hardcore crypto enthusiasts. There wasn't really any mainstream attention. Now, I wish I could say I saw this chaos we're looking at now coming, but I didn't. I stopped the ads not because I thought the company was going down, but because I just couldn't in good faith promote a company that even had a chance of hurting this technology that I'm passionate about. Oh, of course, this decision, though, was the best thing I could have ever done. Looking back, I'm so glad I did this before all this chaos. I just needed to clear up my decision process and what I knew beforehand. Now back to the story. This is where things get juicy and where you need to know how it can impact your wallet. CZ, the founder of Binance, he spoke out against Sam's position on DeFi regulations. Sam then snaps back at CZ, questioning whether he's even allowed to travel to Washington, D.C. amid rumors that he could be arrested in the U.S. due to money laundering investigations. Drama all around. And then this bomb is dropped. November 6th. CZ, who, by the way, was an early investor in FTX, said Binance would be liquidating their FTT position. That's FTX's exchange token, because they won't support people who lobby against others in the industry. This is bad for Sam and bad for FTX. In less than 2 days, the FTT token falls 36% from $24.50 to $15.50. We now have billionaires slugging it out on Twitter. And from an outside perspective, it seems like anyone could win, until things got even worse for Sam. Tuesday the 8th, Sam messages his staff saying, in the last 72 hours, we've had roughly $6 billion in net withdrawals from FTX. In a normal situation, this would be really bad. In FTX's case, this meant total destruction. See, the thing is, FTX was using capital efficiently, which is just a way too nice way of saying they have a whole ton of debt and they use that debt to make investments and grow the business, which works when times are good, not when they're bleeding billions in customer deposits and their main asset, the FTT token, is collapsing before their eyes. In 2 days, they went from a relatively healthy beast of the industry to illiquid, not having full backing of customer deposits. And here's where the story turns into a movie. CZ, the billionaire Sam Bankman was just arguing with, tweets that they intend to fully acquire FTX and solve their liquidity issues. That's pending due diligence, of course. But how wild is that? Going from arguing to, I'm going to buy you. Crazy. And then Sam deletes a few pretty important tweets, namely this one that says, FTX is fine, assets are fine. And this one that says they don't invest clients' assets and holdings are fine. Not a good look. Meanwhile, the FTT token has fallen to $4, a loss of 83% in just 2 full days. In the same time, Sam's personal net worth has fallen from $15 billion to just $991 million, one of the largest losses in history. And of course, this prompted a few good memes, like CZ and Sam, classic Titanic, and well, okay, so Binance buys FTX. Happy ending for everyone but Sam, right? Not so much. Remember that due diligence Binance was going to do on FTX? Well, they did it, and the deal won't be going through. Binance stated that as a result of mishandled customer funds and alleged investigations, they've decided not to pursue the acquisition of FTX. And there are rumors that FTX's balance sheet contained false information, but I was unable to confirm these details, and I want every statement in this video to be actually backed by references. But all of this just sucks for the crypto industry. It hurts confidence, hurts trust, and it's just going to mean a longer path before crypto recovers again. So what do we do moving forward? For now, it looks like withdrawals are halted for FTX International, with the exception of fiat, which as of this recording is still available. So if you have fiat cash, that can be withdrawal. US users have much, much better news. As of now, withdrawals are totally open and available. FTX US and FTX International are separate entities. It appears that there's no issues with cash on hand for FTX US, and if you have an account, you're free to withdraw. And it seems like you're pretty safe. Thankfully for the majority of my viewers, I was only ever sponsored by FTX US, and that's the only sign-up link that's ever been in my videos due to legal reasons. Those reasons being I live in the US. But I know that doesn't cover everyone. I'm sure that there was people outside of the US who saw my ads and then found their way to sign up for FTX International. I mean, most people never knew that there was a difference between FTX and FTX International, and why would they ever even have to think about it? And because of that, I deeply regret any past affiliation with the FTX US company. Despite warning people, despite pulling my sponsor before any of this, I know that that helped some people understand what was going on and potentially get out before, there was larger issues. And I'm thankful for that. But, it's not a perfect solution. I'm not absolved of everything. It's ridiculous that as individuals, we need to question the largest companies in the world, but we just do. And my entire platform is built on trust and thoroughness of research in everything that I do. Above all else, I just care. I want to make the best, most truthful, most helpful content possible. I'm not trying to just make a bunch of money and then quit YouTube next year. I'm here for the long run, and I want to actually have a real fundamental impact on the world of personal finance. That's my life's mission. So you can bet that from here on out, I'll be even more diligent in vetting anyone that I mention in my videos, whether that be a person or a company. And either way, this just makes me sad. I feel for anyone who was impacted by this. I was hit hard by the Luna collapse, and it's something I'll never forget, and I know exactly how those people are feeling. Looking forward to the future, there's a few actions that we can do to protect ourselves as much as possible. First, look for exchanges that provide proof of funds. This essentially means you're protected from these kinds of events. The only big caveat here is exchanges are just now starting this, and we won't see that kind of stuff for a few months. But it just essentially means you're protected because you can see, hey, the money's actually there. Second, store crypto you're holding long-term in a cold wallet. You're just not going to be subject to the whims of a crypto exchange if you do that. Third, everyone's a genius in a bull market. Strategies that make companies and people rich in good times, they're just not the same strategies that keep people rich in bad times. It's important to constantly evaluate your financial position and whether what you're doing makes sense within the larger context of the current financial world. In the last week, I did this for myself and my business. I completely audited my expenses and cut anything that wasn't directly moving the needle forward. It's uncomfortable, but it's unfortunately necessary. Right now, I'm focused on the long run. I'm focused on positivity and things that we can do in any market to make more cash. I think there's just way too much negativity out there, and I don't want to add to that. I want to focus on positivity and what we can actually do to better ourselves in the future, and that's the kind of content that you can expect from me. So I'd like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.